The Medrash Tanchuma in Parsha Shalach teaches us that every Maisa, anything that a person does in this world, connected what he does, there's a mitzvah in the Torah. One of the examples, first the Lashon, V'lo davar ba'olam shloi nasim by mitzvah l'yisrael. There's nothing in the world that's not connected to a mitzvah. L'mashal, Megaleach sar roish, a person takes a haircut, they take a haircut for Yom Tov, is the din like sakifa pas roishchem. Shavuos, there are many minhagim lagabi, putting trees, branches, flowers. We have also learned the Isser HaTorah of Leiselech B'Chukos Agoy, Isser D'Oraisa. And Be'ez Hashem, tonight in the Shir, we'll discuss and speak how they're connected. One of the Minhagim Shavuos, Zok the Ramah, and Reish Tzadik Daled, the Ramah says, V'noyagim l'shtoyach asavim, the minhag is to spread out asavim, like asef, grass, greenery, to spread out grass b'Shavuos, to put it in the Beis HaKnesses, say in shuls and say in houses. Why? What's the reason that we put greenery around? Zok the Ramah, which is the Makar is a Maril, the reason is Zeichel Matan Torah. The Matan Torah was in the Midbar, and Har Sinai had greenery, had grass. So to remember the Maimed of Har Sinai, we put grass, we put greenery. L'shtoich is to spread out. In the olden days, there was no floor, so they spread it out on the ground. That's the first minute. The Makor is a Maril, and it's interesting to note that this minhag already is brought in the Targum Sheni, when Haman went to Achashverosh, and he told him, Yeshna Am Echad Mefuzim Mefoirad, and he told them all the different Yom Tovim that they have, Klal Yisrael. He also went through the Minhagim. And the Minhagim, he says, Batzeres, this nation has a minhag that they spread out Asavim, Asaf, greenery on the Yom Tov of Atzeres of Shavuos. So that's the first minhag. Minhag number one, brought in the Ramah, to spread out greenery in your house, in the shul, Zeichel Matan Torah, Lahar Sinai. Another minhag, which is brought over there in the Maril, and it's also brought on Siddur Yavitz, to put roses, prepare roses for Yom Tov. And there he says, it's Zecher, it's Lekavod for Yom Tov, which technically it's not Dafka Shavuos, it's any Yom Tov to put roses. And the Makor, he doesn't bring the Pashas, the Makor is a Medrash in Shir HaShirim of Kesheshana. The Medrash says, Ma Sheshana, Zu Mesukenes L'Shabbosos V'Yom Tovim, it's prepared for Shabbos and Yom Tov, which means, not only Shavuos, any Shabbos and Yom Tov, we put roses, Lekavod Shabbos, Lekavod Yom Tov. Af Klal Yisrael is Mesukin to go out of Golus. So that's the second minhag. Minhag number one we see is to spread out greenery. Minhag number two is to put out roses. The third minhag is the minhag that the Magen Avram brings, and the Magen Avram says the minhag is to put trees in one's houses and in shuls. And what's the reason to put trees? The reason to put trees is because since Ba'atzeres on Shavuos Nidoinu, we're Nidin al Peiros Elon, since we're Nidin al Peiros Elon, Memelo we bring in trees to remember that. And like the Magen Avram says, V'yishpal, a person should daven, should have good trees, good fruit, it should be mispal. Therefore, there's a discussion about bringing in trees, or at least branches, which is included in trees, if you should bring dafka from Peiros Elon, because that's what you're davening for. Some say what you're bringing in regular branches, you're davening, it's to remember that Nidoinu al Peiros Elon. So what are you bringing in stam branches? You should bring in Peiros Elon. And others say that you can't bring in Peiros Elon, it's about tashchas, you can't cut from a fruit tree. But that's the minhag of the Magen Avram, the third minhag. First minhag was to bring grass, greenery. And the reason for greenery is Zecher for Matan Torah. Second is roses, flowers, Lekavod Yom Tov. And this third minhag, the Magen Avram, the minhag is to bring in trees, branches, the batzeres nidoin al peres ilan.
People could have panosa from any type of tree, really. Paper and hardwood and all sorts of other things you can have panosa from a tree. That has to come from a fruit. The yom that the Yom Adin is only on the peiros or also on the tree.
So it says al peres ilan. So peres ilan is peres ilan. I mean, you could definitely make money of the ilan itself. You're right. You're talking right. You can make money from a tree. Definitely, people make money from trees in many different ways. Not only paper, logs for firewood. You can make money off trees. And chanami taki, you're right. But the peres ilan, okay, that's a nidin. If you have peres, what type of tree to bring in? But that's the Magen Avraham. The minhag is to bring in peres, to bring in trees into shul, to bring in trees into the house. The goyin, the Mishnah Berurah brings it, but the goyin and Meiser Rav, and the Chai Adam brings this goyin. The goyin says, even though there is a minhag to bring trees in, says the goyin, we should be mavatal the minhag. We should be mavatal this minhag. What? And the reason why to be mavatal, because he says it's Chukos Akum. Since the goyim bring in trees, b'chag shalahem, and their holiday they bring trees. So Mamela, since they do it, zok the goyim we should stop. Chukos Akum, issa deirais, and you stop. Before going in to understand the sheet of the goyim, just kedai to note this din of what the goyim says that it's aser. Was also, it's not only the goyin, it was also makubal by certain parts of the chassidim also. The Minchas Alazar, which is Yartzeit is tomorrow night, brings, his lashon is the Minhagenu ke'eis, b'sheva al tasa, b'roiv kihilas chassidim v'anshe ma'isa, not to put trees and branches, and he brings because of the goyin. So we have over here, the Magen Avraham says, Machad Gisa to do it, and the goyin says to be mavatal the minhag, not to bring in trees and branches inside the shul, inside the house, al Chukos Akum. So we have three minhagim. We have the minhag of greenery, we have the minhag of roses, and we have the minhag of trees. When the goyin said not to do the trees, is he only talking about trees, or is he also talking about the minhag of the Ramah, what the Ramah says about bringing in greenery? What'd say? You have to know what the goyim do. The pashtus, the goyin is, it says ilanis, it says trees. It doesn't say ace the greenery. And the Steipler Taka understood like that for a pashtus. In Lamaisa and Eretz Yisrael, they bring that Itaka didn't put anything, even greenery as well. But the Steipler understood, the goyin said dafka trees. Dafka trees. What'd say? Yeah.
Why did it say Minhag Goyim? You see the Gemara, some people try for Shabbos.
Bring it. So you're bringing a good point about bringing Adas. I'm going to get to it soon. Let's say if the Goyim do it, would that change? Let's see. We're going to get to that shortly. But let's see the fact of where the Isser is, if it's Mutter or Aser. We'll try to see if we can cover that as well. So the Goyin says not to do it. Pashtus, the Steipler understands that the Isser is only trees. Me'idoch, the Aruch HaShulchan, a second. The Aruch HaShulchan, the Lashon Aruch HaShulchan Sivav. Omnam b'doirish l'fanenu bitlu ha'ilonois v'asavim. He says asavim also greenery mitaimim sheyadu agadolim shabadar. Avi didn't want to say the reason. The senses would look through, but that's he says it goes that the Isser is the Isser even on greenery. Yes.
I think the meaning by the goyim they have is also they don't just bring in trees, they bring in also regular leaves and stuff.
Yeah.
Branches.
You were there?
I think.
Where did you think? How do you think?
Give me the mind.
Okay. I don't know flowers. What about flowers?
What'd you say? Atzah Shera is a tree, plant. We're going to speak about that also, the plant Atzah Shera. We're not talking about branches. A pashtus branches is included in what the Goyin says Ilana. So we're talking about something else, talking about in general, any greenery, anything else. Anything else. Take a look in the 1810th. There's not only trees, these trees also, but these other, I'm saying, these greenery.
How about fake stuff, artificial flowers? Is that okay?
Yeah, that you can.
Better. Trees are artificial these days.
Also, that
Last year somebody asked me if you could be yoitz of the minhag with fake flowers or fake trees. Yeah.
So
So we have over here machloikis. We have a machloikis. The iser, the minhag that the minhag that the Magen Avraham says to bring in trees, branches. The goyin says not to do it. Before being the yashiv, the tzad yes to do the minhag. The Magen Avraham yes to do it. We'll see a few yeshuvim. First, let's try to understand clearly the iser, what the goyin says of Chukos Agoy. The Chachmas Adam explains, the Chai Adam brings it, but in a Sefer in Chachmas Adam he explains the following. He says, there are two dinim in Chukos Agoy. These Chukos Agoy, and this will get to the Hadassah also, these Chukos Agoy, that if a goy does something la'avodah zara, it's aser. That's one Chukos Agoy. And then there's another Chukos Agoy, if the goy does it for a minhag, it's a custom, a goyish custom, it's a minhag that they do it, that's also Chukos Agoy. Two types of Chukos Agoy. There's something that the goy does la'avodah zara, goes into Chukos Agoy, and then there's Chukos Agoy that a goy is not doing a la'avodah zara, he does it stam, it's a custom. Culture, I mean, I don't know if culture is a good word, we'll see soon, I guess styles and things, but it's just a minhag, they do it, that's a custom. A culture could be that's just the nature of what they do. I'm not sure. Memela says the Chachmas Adam, if a guy does something la'avodah zara, even if the din is that you have to do it, we have to stop. If a guy does something la'avodah zara, even if we were doing it, we have to stop. And the raya is from the Torah. The pasuk, stating the pasuk in Parashat Shoftim, leisakim l'cha matzeva. Zokt Rashi, even though matzeva was ohov lefnei amakim, the Avis used the matzeva. But Zokt Rashi, since the goyim started using matzeva la'avodah zara, so memela we stop. That's the first Chukos Agoy. Then there's another Chukos Agoy that if the goy does it for a custom, a minhag, that's just what the goy does. Such a Chukos Agoy, we don't have to stop if it's a din, Torah, if it's Medina. But if it's a minhag, then we stop. If it's a minhag, we stop. By the Chukos Agoy, when the goy does it stam leminhag ba'alma, then if we're doing it leminhag, we have to stop. Will depend what the adasam, but then we have to stop. Memela, the lashon of Ma'aser Rav, but that's what he says. Since it's ein ela minhag, what the Magen Avraham says to bring in trees on Shavuos is a minhag. So therefore, says the goyin, we have to stop the minhag because they do it. Not la'avodah zara, but they do it stam leminhag ba'alma. We'll soon see a little more about it, but they do it leminhag, not la'avodah zara. And since it's only a minhag for us, we have to stop.
When did the minhag start? My son, I Sinai was before. I think the churches. Oh, even if the minhag was first.
Oh. Very good, Ravam Gavaldik. That's the first teretz. That leads us into the first yishuv. We're going to see three yishuvim to be b'yashiv the son of the Magen Avraham. Yes, to do the minhag. Very good. We're going to get to that also. The third. That's very good. Very good. Gavaldik. Excellent. We're going to get to that momentarily. Three yishuvim of the Magen Avraham's minhag, so to speak, shaloik, not like the goyim. One teretz, the Stipler says that the Isser of Chukos Agoy, Moirid the Gezach, the Isser of Chukos Agoy is only, we're not allowed to copy them. If they copy us, they learn from us, it's not Aser. So Mela, I don't know the Ma'aser history, I don't know, but if they learned the trees from our minhag, what we did Shavuos, but Chahai Gavin, it's not Aser. So Mela, it would be mutter. Lamaisi says, as we mentioned before, he's noyeg. Lamaisi, he was noyeg in the minhag not to do it. But Medina, Chukos Agoy is only when we copy them. If they're copying us, there's no issue. Oh, very good. Shkoich. That by Matzeva, one of two reasons why Matzeva became I Matzeva. Either they didn't copy us. Either they have to say they didn't copy us, they just did it for their own reason, or it could be la'avodah zara, even if they copy us, but if they're doing a la'avodah zara, we still have to stop. Yeah, good shaila about it, Matzeva, that's l'chara, one of two yeshuvim you have to say about by Matzeva, why it was aser, it was mutter, and then the Eibishter, and then the Torah asered it. No, but if it's still, they copied us, because it has to be a din Yisrael, it means that we're not copying them, they're copying us. The second teretz in Chukos Agoy, and klal in Chukos Agoy, is mavur in Das Torah de Marsham, and he says the Isser of Chukos Agoy, which also heterim come out from this. The Isser of Chukos Agoy is only if we copy the Goy literally, exactly the way they do it. And since the trees, they put it inside and outside, as opposed to we only put it inside, there's no Isser of Chukos Agoy. That's the second Yishuv. Nachum, the first Yishuv why there's no Isser of Chukos Agoy is because Chukos Agoy is only if we learn from them. If they copy us, there's no Isser Chukos Agoy. The second Zokta Das Torah, Chukos Agoy is only us if we copy them literally, exactly the way they're doing it. They do it inside and outside. We only do it inside. The male, it's not us. But Chahai Gavna, the Das Torah, in his Chuvas and Marsham, says a case lagabe a tree by a shul. There's an Issa Doirais of having a tree by the Mazbeach. You're not put a tree by the Mazbeach. Rabbi Kiveger in the beginning of Hilchos Beis HaKnesses brings that there's an Issa D'Rabbanan planting a tree near a shul. In certain circumstances, the way they did it, and Mamela Zokta Marsham, he has a tshuva about with a tree, and he says that there's no Isser ba'ofen that we don't do it the way the Goyim do it. So which way the tree faces. So this Yisod. The Isser of Chukos Agoy is only an Isser if we copy them exactly the way they do it. Since they put the tree outside as well, and we don't put the tree outside, Mamela, it's mutter, and Mamela we can continue doing the minhag of putting trees, Shavuos in the shul, in the house.
No, if we just do branches, it's not copying exactly.
Pashtus, the Isser of branches also, and they also put branches. Pashtus, it's trees and branches. I didn't see anybody's machalak that branches should be like the whole meduba, which we mentioned before, is about Esav, the Ramah's minhag of greenery. Anything, even grass, or you can buy other types of things in the flower store. Not branches from a tree dafka. And then the third Yishuv, and like Elia was mamash brought up Gavaldik and the Goyen. But first, let's first see to be the Yashav the Magen Avram. And this the Das Torah brings this teretz as well. He says up here Rivosh. The Rivosh says that the Isser of Chukos Agoy, about the Chukos Agoy, there's an Isser b'makom that they do a Avodah Zarah. But if they don't do a Avodah Zarah, if they do it l'shem choik without a reason, then it's aser. Why is it aser? You have to be choishish darki amor, maybe takets l'avodah zara. But if they have a reason, the reason why the goyim are doing it, and others say, or at least if we have a reason, in this case we both have a reason, as the in Yosef Shaul he brings that he sent from his people to the Chachama by the Goyim, and he asked them, what's the reason they put trees? And they said to make the house look pretty. They do it for that reason. We do it for our reason. So Meila b'chahai gavana, there's no Isser of Chukos Agoy. Chukos Agoy is either if the Goyim are doing it l'avodah zara, or even if they're not doing it l'avodah zara, they're doing it poshet outs l'minig, below timer. B'chahai gavana is where it's aser. But Malcolm where a Goy does it for a reason. And the reason why the Goyim put trees is because they want to beautify their house. We have to put trees in a shul and in our house, as the Magen Avram explains. Not zecher, because batzeres we need an alperis ilan. So Mamelo, that's a third reason why you could put peris, you could put trees in your house Shavuos. So we have a machlokes. The Magen Avram's minhag says that you could. The Goyen says you can't because of Chukos Agoy. We explained the Goyen that it's aser Chukos Agoy because even minhag is aser. And we saw 3 yeshuvim why to be masber to continue doing the minhag like the Magen Avram, then it's allowed. The Goyen.
If we use a pine tree specifically, then we're going to show the organ. We have to use the organ, or we got to.
Yeah, and therefore.
So he said it was a weird issue because.
Using their particular one, right?
So if you're using dafka what they use, that's
their type of tree.
Their type of tree might be still an issue.
You're saying, but even if you don't use genoi their tree, that should be another reason why it's mutter. Just like bedoimi, you're not copying them because inside outside that could also be a yishuv here. It's interesting, the Lashon in Ramosha, I saw somebody else brings it also, since they do it besamach to our Chag, like Keilu would seem that if it's a different time, that would also make it different. It's not Chukos Agoy. The Goyin, however, is the Chlashitase. This is the Geschmack. That's what we went through Chukos Agoy. The Goyin over here, again, the third teretz was that the Issa Chukos Agoy is only when these without a reason. Or to make it very clear, like we learned, the Ran, the Maharik, the Ramah goes with that Lahalocha in Yeridea, that the Issa of Chukos Agoy is if the Goy does it L'Avodah Zarah, if the Goy does it Misham Pritzus, or, like we're saying now, Beloy Taima. But if the guy has a reason, he wants to put on he wants to look like a doctor, he has a reason why he's doing it. But Chahai Gavana, there's no Isser of Chukos Agoy. However, the Goyim, right over here, by our in Hilchas Chukos Agoy, the Goyim argues, he goes with Tosfos, and the Goyim learns that the Isser of Chukos Agoy is even ba'oifen that there is a reason. There's a reason. Not B'Shem Pritzus, and there's a reason why the Goyim do it. So even though by the trees there's a reason why the Goyim do it, and there's even a reason why we do it, it's still going to be aser. The nafkamina, which I mentioned before, the rivash, is a nafkamina also. Somebody asked the rivash about going out to a Beis HaChaim during Shiva. So the shaila was that was the minhag Yishmaelim to go every single day of the Shiva, and the shaila is if you're allowed to do it if it's Chukos Agoy. So there's a nidin about leaving the house, but Benegei Chukos Agoy says the rivash that there's no problem because it's not that it's done b'lei choik, it's done b'shem kavod, and maybe it's mutter v'araya has paid them. You're going to say it's also aser. So this concept of something is done for a reason, there's a time why the goyim are doing it. Are we also allowed to do it? Is there a issa the rice of Chukos Agoy? And as we see, the nafkamid will be like I'll be putting in a tree in a shul if it's mutter or aser for Shavuos. L'maisa lahalacha. I don't know if these lahalacha, these two minhagim, but along the lines of lahalacha, Rabbi Elyashiv in Eretz Yisrael said, "Be a side really, it should be mutter." Technically, even trees, but at least asav, asav, greenery for sure. And this is a Morid de Gazach that since in Eretz Yisrael, most of the people over there, the Goyim, are Arabs, don't have the minhag of the tree. So Meili says there will not be an Isser of Chukos Agoy. Lamaisa, I think they bring that Lamaisa, he wasn't noyik to do it, but be a side weiter the Chukos Agoy, even if Goyim do it, it would depend on which place you are, if it's mutter or aser. Ramoshe and Igris Moshe brings the Magen Avram, the Goyin, that says not to do it. Then he brings the Marsham, and he says Lav Dvarim, and he says it's Aser. So we have over here two Minhagim, and just to finish, to conclude with a Maisa from the Chassam Sofer. In the Chassam Sofer's shul, they used to always decorate the shul mamish with branches, and you came in it, the way they write it smelled like a forest. It smelled mamish, it smelled the flowers, the grass, the greenery, the trees was moiridik. One year, it's more in the Sefer of the Chassam Sofer. One year, the Gabbai didn't do it. It doesn't say why he didn't do it. He didn't do it because he decided he wants to be machma like the Goyin. But he did not decorate the shul with flowers and trees and branches. And the Chassam Sofer came in, and it wasn't there. And the Chassam Sofer was makbid, and the way they bring it, that the person didn't have a happy ending. So what you see is these taka two minhagim, and we see the two minhagim as taka totally how we're learning. If these issa the rights of Chukos Agoy, but kol echad, everybody should be mamshech and their minhag, and everybody should have a good yom tif.